Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's special last post ceremony. My name is Gerard Pratt, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Warrant Officer Rachel Brookshaw. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland. We'd also like to take a moment to consider and pay respect to the many professional and volunteer firefighters who are out in the thick of the bushfires, working in the most challenging and dangerous of conditions to keep people, places and communities safe. We thank you for your commitment and service, which reflects the essence of the Australian spirit, a spirit that we also showcase here in the stories at the Australian War Memorial. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through until the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. Following the reading of the story of Trooper Carl Adelt, wreaths will be laid in commemoration at his photographs.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Trooper Carl Adelt. Carl Adelt was born in 1892 in Caulfield, Melbourne, the third of 4 children, 3 boys and a girl, born to Lewis and Nellie Adelt. Adelt's father was a commercial salesman, and when Carl was young, the family moved from Melbourne to the northern suburbs of Sydney. Adelt attended Fort Street High School and Commercial College, and later worked as a commercial traveller. He was a key member of the local cadets unit and served in the local garrison artillery unit for 3 years. He was also an excellent swimmer and a member of the Manly Lifesaving Club. Adelt enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force in September 1914, only weeks after the beginning of the war. All 3 of the Adelt brothers served in the First World War. Lewis served in the Australian Engineers on the Western Front, and Rudolph served in the Light Horse Regiment in the campaigns in Palestine and Egypt. Soon after enlisting, Carl Adelt began training with the newly formed 1st Australian Light Horse Regiment in Sydney. In this unit, he was a regular trooper, but also served as trumpeter. In this role, he assisted by playing reveille and other calls used to rouse the troops. In late October 1914, Adelt and the 1st Light Horse Regiment travelled to Sydney Harbour to embark on the transport ship Star of Victoria. As they boarded the ship, a band played some popular marching songs, and in a letter home to his mother, Adelt wrote, "I guess it could be heard all over the harbour." He also noted that not long after boarding, many of the men began to feel the effects of seasickness, and that many of them had never seen the ocean before. Adelt sailed aboard the Star of Victoria to Albany, Western Australia, then to Colombo in modern-day Sri Lanka, and eventually to Egypt, where the Australians camped and trained before landing at Gallipoli. Adelt noted in his letter home that he was camped near the Great Pyramids. One day, after having climbed them, he visited an Australian camp where he ran into some old mates from the Manly Lifesaving Club. Adelt and the 1st Light Horse Brigade did not take part in the initial April landings on Gallipoli, but instead landed on the peninsula on the 12th of May. Adelt entered the trenches on Gallipoli for the first time on the 13th of May 1915. The war diary for his unit records said on that day that they came under heavy Turkish fire, particularly from machine guns. On the 15th, he assisted in an attack on enemy lines near an area called Quinn's Post. It is likely that during this attack that he was shot in the chin and evacuated to the hospital ship Gascon. On the 16th of May 1916, while aboard Gascon as it sailed from Gallipoli to Alexandria, Egypt, Adelt died of his wounds. He was 22 years old. He was buried at sea, and his name is now listed on the Lone Pine Memorial on Gallipoli, which records the names of over 4,900 soldiers of the First World War who were buried at sea and have no known grave. Adelt's death was deeply felt by his grieving family. His father stated, "We must feel proud that he died fighting for us, Australia, England, and the dear old flag, and in the cause of right and freedom." Trooper Carl Adelt's name is listed on the Roll of Honour among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today here in Anzac Hall. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Trooper Carl Adelt, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand and remove hats for the reading of the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget.
We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. Tonight, our piper will play Lament for You, Flowers of the Forest, as you leave Anzac Hall. Thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial, and we wish you all a very good evening. Thank you.